Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We'll start the meeting in 1 minute. On va commencer la réunion dans 1 minute. Gentlemen, and welcome to the City Council meeting of the 5th of October 2022. Bienvenue à la réunion du Conseil municipal pour le 5 octobre 2022. For those who are able to, please rise for a moment of personal reflection. Thank you. Well, good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your City Hall, and it's my pleasure to welcome Angelica Calabrucchi for this morning's City Builder Award, and I invite Laura Dudas, Ennis Ward Councillor and Deputy Mayor, to join us for the presentation. And welcome, bienvenue. And there's Laura here. There she is. And your sister and parents are here. This
award recognizes individuals who demonstrate a deep commitment to making our city a better place through outstanding volunteer service or exemplary initiatives. Angelica personifies exemplary volunteering service and initiatives that characterize the city builders.
An energetic young resident of Orleans who is dedicated to making her community a better place through volunteerism and leadership. She's a proud Franco-Ontarian who has been a strong advocate for Francophones, youth, and women, and she has worked on multiple committees and initiatives to promote equal opportunities for minority groups. As a member of her high school student council and as a youth mentor at St. Gabriel's Parish, she helped and supported youth in her community as a leader, organizer, and dedicated volunteer. Angelica was a member of the then president of Orleans Youth Council, where she provided nonpartisan advice to local MPs and MPPs, and we have the MPP for Ottawa Orleans, Steve Blais, with us. Welcome, Mr. Blais, on policy issues and the priorities of youth in our community. As a member
of the Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee, she worked to increase youth engagement in decision-making at the City of Ottawa.
Angelica was selected as the Canada Youth Summit delegate in 2019, and in 2020 she represented Canadian youth at the first virtual youth summit organized by Global Changemakers. She was also the Youth Ottawa representative on the steering committee for the Downtown Core programming plan. Angelica has an impressive academic record and graduated from the University of Ottawa last year with a Bachelor of Science. And despite her full schedule, she's also been a volunteer at the Montfort Hospital. She was selected as a delegate to attend the Ontario Legislative Assembly's Women's Forum in 2019 and received the Orleans Leading Women Award. Angelica is a recipient of the Canada 100 Black Women to Watch 2020 from Canada International Black Women Excellence. Ce prestigieux prix national vise à reconnaître du leadership, l'excellence académique.
This prestigious national award recognizes leadership, academic excellence, and community involvement of women in the Afro-Canadian community.
It's my pleasure on behalf of Councillor Dudas to present you with the Mayor's City Builder Award and continue the great work. Félicitations. Get Steve, come on up here. Come on up, Deputy. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Oops. Thank you, Mayor Watson, for this very kind introduction. I'm so honored and happy to be here today. Distinguished city councilors, my dear parents, and Sister Bernice Marie, who are in the audience here today, thank you for being here today. It is with great humility that I officially accept the Mayor City Builder Award. Let me also express my deepest gratitude for the privilege of addressing the Ottawa City Council. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank Mayor Jim Watson for selecting me for this civic honor. Thank you to MP Marie-France Lalonde, Dr. Janelle Sauvageau, Dr. Paul E.J. Thomas, Councillor Catherine Kitts, and MPP Stephen Blais for playing a pivotal role in supporting my candidacy for the award. My story started with my mother, Jacqueline, and my father, Jean-Michel, who are in the audience here today. Amongst many life lessons and values, thank you, Mom and Dad, for teaching me the importance of using my education to serve my community and tackle the injustices of our time. It is to both of you that I dedicate this award. I would like to conclude by sharing with you all what true leadership means to me. True leadership should never be about yourself, your dreams, and your aspirations. True leadership is about serving. It's about looking outside of yourself to serve your community. It is about considering others as your equal and as a member of one big family, humanity. True leadership is recognizing that no one should be left behind in our society. It is that definition of leadership that motivates me every single day to continue serving my community, my dear city, Ottawa. Thank you all so much for this award. I'm so proud to be a citizen of Ottawa, and thank you all so much.
Merci beaucoup. I now have the pleasure of presenting the Mayor City Builder Award to Neil Falls, and I'd like to welcome Neil up to the circle, along with your city councillor, Councillor El Shantiri. Welcome. Eli is over there. Getting old. Hello, Eli. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to recognize the many contributions of Neil Falls, and I'm happy to welcome Neil's wife with us here today. Neil is a lifelong CARP resident, going back 6 generations, and he wears many volunteer hats in the CARP community. He was the 2021 President of the Agriculture for the CARP Agricultural Society and one of the 2022 Agriculture and Homecraft Directors on the CARP Fair team, which has been, and he's been a board member since 2010. Neil moved through all the director positions, a 13-year volunteering commitment, before becoming president last year during a very challenging time for the fair following the cancellation due to the pandemic. Despite many challenges with logistics, new rules, sponsorship, supplies, and a shortage of volunteers, the fair was a financial success with nearly 40,000 attendees. We recognize and truly appreciate Neil's many years of service at the CARP Fair and the countless hours of volunteer work he's contributed to the community. Most people don't realize that all these rural fairs, our fairs in Navan and Richmond and Metcalfe and CARP and the Capital Fair in Gloucester, are all run by volunteers, and it's a year-long commitment. It's not just a 4-day celebration and party. It's a lot of work that goes into it. Neil's also chair of the Safety Committee of the National Capital Heavy Construction Association and has been the voice and expert resource for safety to the industry and the municipal government. He's been a board member of the CARP Village BIA since 2014. He's worked on many community improvements, networking, and other initiatives. He has championed or been part of most major projects in the village, including the CARP Cenotaph and the Light Up the Village Festival campaign that was created to lift spirits and inject some dollars into the local economy during the pandemic. Through his volunteer work and his many contributions, Neil has demonstrated exemplary commitment to the well-being of his community. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Neil, very much for all you've done and for helping and inspiring others to give back to their community. In recognition of your contributions, it's my pleasure on behalf of your councillor, Eli El Shantiri, to present you with our City Builder Award. Congratulations, keep up the great work. Yep. Come on in, Jody.
I'd like to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation and gratitude to the Mayor and Council for this award. I'm proud to join a distinguished list of men and women who have won the Mayor's City Builder Award before me. Over the years, I've committed thousands of hours to this community, or so I'm told. I haven't exactly done the math, but my wife keeps tabs. Joining the NCHCA, the Carp Village BIA, and the Fair Board was my decision. But without the unwavering support of my wife, Jody, my children, Paisley and Wyatt, as well as my extended family and colleagues, of which there are too many to name here, I would have never accomplished my goals. I share this award with all of them, and I'm grateful for the support I needed to give back to my community, my industry, my city, and my village. When I began my community involvement more than a decade ago, I did so with the encouragement of my mentors and family. The same group of incredible people instilled in me the importance of giving back. They taught me that it takes people that care to build a community. I count myself and my family lucky to live in Carp and Ottawa, where there's an abundance of businesses, groups, and individuals that back up their words with actions. I'm proud of this award and hope I can be an example to others to pay it forward, as my predecessors have done before me. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Council, for this prestigious award. I'm truly honored and humbled. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Neil, for all the great work you do in your community. As many of you know, Danielle McDonald will be retiring as CEO of the Ottawa Public Library at the beginning of November. We have a special presentation this morning in recognition of Danielle's 22 years of service with the City of Ottawa. I'd like to welcome Chair of the Board, Matt Luloff, to come forward, and our City Manager, Steve Kanalakis, and Danielle to come forward as well, please. I'm going to now ask Councillor Luloff to begin the presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor Watson, and good morning to everyone. As the Chair of the Ottawa Public Library Board of Trustees, it is my honor to recognize the outstanding leadership of our CEO, Danielle McDonald, and to have the opportunity to thank her for her many contributions to this city, and what an understatement that is. During her 35-year career, Danielle spent 22 years with the City of Ottawa and moved to the Public Library in 2009. In 2012, she became the CEO of the library and has worked with 3 OPL board chairs over the past 10 years, beginning with Councillor Jan Harder, followed by Councillor Tim Cherney. Danielle's leadership and management at the city and as CEO of the OPL has been nothing short of outstanding. The Ottawa Public Library is North America's largest bilingual public library, serving our 1 million residents. The library helps to build strong, vibrant, and sustainable communities by supporting literacy and lifelong learning, and by connecting people to the world. We are the great equalizer and strongest pillar support of a thriving democracy. As CEO, Danielle McDonald provided strategic leadership and sound financial guidance over all of OPL's departments, programs, and services, following policies and plans established by the Board of Trustees. Her retirement marks the end of a significant and remarkable 35-year career in municipal public service, both at the City of Ottawa and the Ottawa Public Library. Over her library career, Danielle has led significant initiatives in facilities, planning, and development. She led the Ottawa Central Library development and most recently obtained City Council and OPL Board approval for the construction of Adisoke, an exciting city building project to bring a unique landmark destination to Ottawa. Danielle led the conversion of all of OPL's 33 branches to a new customer service delivery model called Single Point of Service, in conjunction with a system-wide technology overhaul to radio frequency identification. She worked with us to eliminate late fees. and instituted the most liberal intellectual freedom policy in North America. She's been a valued member of the Order of Ottawa Selection Committee and represented the library at the municipal, provincial, and federal level. She's also been an active member of many industry committees, including the Canadian Urban Libraries Council, the Urban Libraries Council, and the chief executives of large urban public libraries of Ontario. In June this year, she was the recipient of the 2022 Bissett Alumni Award for distinctive contributions to the public sector from the best university in Ottawa, the Carleton University School of Public Policy and Administration. This honor encapsulates her more than 30 years of municipal government management experience, including strategic planning, finance, human resources, and technology with the City of Ottawa and the OPL. I'm honored to have this opportunity to recognize Danielle's many years of public service and her contributions to our municipal government and the City of Ottawa. We have been so fortunate to have such an accomplished and dedicated individual leading this demanding and essential service. Merci, Danielle, pour votre travail.
Thank you, Danielle, for your incredible work and dedication to serving our residents and our community.
On behalf of the city and the residents of Ottawa, I want to thank you for your leadership, for your incredible work, and for your dedication to serving our residents and our community. Thank you, and we wish you all the very best in your next chapter.
So I'll ask, Tim is another chair of the board, the former chair. Tim, come on up here. Danielle, congratulations on a remarkable career. Thank you for what you've done. We have a small token of appreciation, something that I'm sure will find a place. And you're, come on out in the front here and we'll take a picture. Oops. This is again. Okay.
Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur le maire et les membres du conseil.
Thank you to the mayor, member of council, and I would like also to thank the municipal director.
It is hard to believe I'm here, but I am so grateful for being here. I just want to begin with a very brief story because that's what someone that would work in the library would do, would tell you a little story. And as you know, I started in 1987, and at the time I had secured my first full-time employment here at the city, and I was leaving a contract position at the federal government. Those kind people took me out for lunch and they said to me, "You are making the biggest mistake of your life heading to municipal government." And I thought, oh my goodness. Mind you, they did not offer me a full-time job. So I went on, and here I sit 35 years later. And I think, okay, it is probably, if it is the biggest mistake, it's the biggest mistake I've ever made, but it is indeed the best mistake I've ever made, because I have loved working for my city, working at the city with so many wonderful people, and it has been my dream job to be the CEO of the Ottawa Public Library. So I said to myself, what are the hallmarks? What are the great things about a career that you can look back on? And I thought, I'm so fortunate to know that I have worked for one organization and been a loyal public servant for 35 years. That means a lot to me. Number two, I sat there and I thought, I've worked for a city I live in and I love. And finally, every day I've been able to get up and do a job that I feel I am helping to make a difference in. And I thought, it just doesn't get any better than that. But to do this job, you have to give thanks, because you know you don't do it alone. You know these senior jobs are tough and challenging, and there are people here to help you. So I have to give a couple of words of thanks. I have to say thank you, first of all, to Jan Harder, the first chair that I worked for. She gave me my start. Thank you, Jan. I really appreciate it. To my former chair, Tim Tierney, thank you so much for making the Central Library a reality. It has been my passion project. To the current chair, Matt Luloff, and to the current Ottawa Public Library Board, I simply don't have enough time to say how much I think of you all. You are simply amazing. We are so fortunate to have a board that is so dedicated and filled with people that care so much about the library. It has been, honestly, my pleasure to have worked for you. To the mayor, to members of council, to the mayor's staff, to Steve Kanalakis and the senior leadership team, thank you so much for supporting me in my role as CEO and for believing in the library and knowing that we are a wonderful service in this city. To the staff of the Ottawa Public Library, you are simply the best. You are amazing. You provide service that we all need and appreciate, and you do it every day. And I know it's been tough over the past few years, but thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. To my senior management team and all the managers at the Ottawa Public Library, you are dedicated, you are capable, you make me so proud. I leave here knowing that you will carry on and that the library is in very good hands. And finally, to my husband, Rob, to my two sons, Scott and Kevin, they have given me and you have given me the strength and the love to carry on for 35 years, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. Enfin, je te remercie beaucoup, beaucoup.
And I would like to thank you for this honor. And thank you very much for the gift that you gave me. Thank you for the best career that I ever had.
Roll call, please.
Councillor Luloff.
Present.
Councillor Dudas.
Ici.
Councillor Harder.
Here.
Councillor Curry.
Here.
Councillor Alchantiri.
Present.
Councillor Gower.
Here.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Present.
Councillor Shirelli.
Here.
Councillor Eglai. Councillor Deans.
Here.
Councillor Tierney.
Present.
Councillor Fleury.
Ici.
Councillor King.
Here.
Councillor McKenney.
Present.
Councillor Leeper.
Good morning.
Councillor Brockington.
Here.
Councillor Menard.
Here.
Councillor Cluche.
Present.
Councillor Kitts. Here. Councillor Derouz. I see you on screen, Councillor. Councillor Moffat.
Here.
Councillor Meehan.
I'm here.
Councillor Hubley. Mayor Watson.
Ici.
You have a chair, quorum. You have a chair.
Thank you. Confirmation of minutes, adoption de procès verbal for the 21st of September 2022. Carried. Declaration of interest arising from prior meetings. Any declarations of interest? Est-ce qu'il y a des déclarations de conflit d'intérêt? Communications is presented. Regrets. Councillor Eglai advised he would be absent from the City Council meeting of the 5th of October 2022. Motion to introduce reports. Motion portant présentation de rapport. Councillor Curry, please, seconded by Councillor Dudas.
The deferred report from Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation report entitled Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation 2021 Annual Report, Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee Report 34, Planning Committee Report 68, and the report from the City Clerk entitled Summary of Oral and Written Public Submissions for Items Subject to the Planning Act, Explanation Requirements at the City Council meeting of September 21st, 2022 be received and considered, and that the rules of procedure be suspended to receive and consider Built Heritage Subcommittee Report 30 due to the time sensitivity of the items contained in these reports.
The motion carried. Adopté. Postponements and deferrals. Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation deferred from our last meeting. A report recommendation is to receive the report and appoint the auditors. Carried. Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee Report number 34. Rapport numéro 34 du Comité de l'Agriculture et des Affaires Rurales on zoning bylaw 2727 Carp Road and part of 2625 Carp Road. Councillor Alchantiri and Gower have an amendment, a technical amendment. Councillor Alchantiri, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. whereas the report recommended amended the City of Ottawa zoning bylaw to accommodate 78 residential lots and protect the Huntley Creek Mander Belt as a portion of the existing woodlot adjacent to William Mooney Drive. And whereas reference to document 2, detail of recommended zoning was unanimously opted from recommendation 1. Therefore, unintentionally, opted from recommendation 1. Therefore, be it resolved that Council amend recommendation 1 of report by adding the text as detailed in document 2 following the text Huntley Creek corridor. Therefore, be it resolved that there no further notice pursuant to section 34, subsection 17 of the Planning Act.
Okay, that's seconded by Councillor Gower. Any questions on the amendment? On the amendment, carried. On the report as amended, adopté. Item 12, Built Heritage Subcommittee Report number 30, rapport numéro 30 de sous-comité de patrimoine bâti. Consideration of objection to notice of intention to designate 501 Cole Avenue under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. Carried. Item 12.2, designation of 95 Henderson Avenue under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. Carried. Item 12.3, Heritage Easement Agreement 50 The Driveway. Carried. Item 13, Planning Committee Report number 68, 1071 Promenade, Ambleside. Councillor Cavanaugh, do you wish to speak to this?
Yes, please. Yes, I wrote to my colleagues yesterday about the fact that I'm still concerned.
So we'll put it on the, we'll go to the consent agenda.
Okay.
So we'll come back to that. Thank you.
All right.
Next item is 13.2, appeal to 933 Gladstone Avenue and 1030 Somerset rezoning proposed resolution class 4 designation. Carried. The bulk consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the bulk consent agenda at this point? No. On the bulk consent agenda as presented, carried. Okay. So, Councillor, we're back to you now for 1071 Ambleside.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, my concern about this project, and it was raised at the Planning Committee meeting, is the fact that it's asking for an amendment to a secondary plan that was worked on with the communities in the area, which only allows the 20 stories as opposed to 32. Sorry for my voice. So this is something that was worked on just in 2018 and was in terms of the working on these plans, these secondary plans for New Orchard Cleary. So this is a concern that I have, that this is not consistent to secondary plans. We have many more secondary plans coming up, and I'm concerned about the precedents that this puts in.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Leeper.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to note that Planning Committee, I voted against this proposal. I went into the meeting expecting to vote in support, but some of the things I heard about the amount of parking were concerning to me, and I voted against the proposal. I do want to thank Alison Hamlin, who is the planner on this file. We did a deep dive into the amount of parking that's being made available at this site. The developer is far over provisioning the amount of bike parking that they are required to. And I've gone back and forth with the developer, and they've made an offer to provide free transit passes to tenants for 4 months for the first 2 years after this building begins occupancy. And so on the basis of that commitment, I've decided that today I will be supporting this development. So I know I did have that vote against at committee, but today I will be supporting it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Leeper. Does anyone else wish to speak to the item? So on the report.
Can we have a recorded vote?
Yep. Yeas and nays. Yes, if you're supporting the staff recommendation on the planning committee, and nay if you're not.
Councillor Hubley. Councillor Kavanaugh.
No. No.
Councillor Fleury.
Yes.
Councillor Lula.
Yes.
Councillor Meehan.
Yes.
Councillor Moffat.
Yes.
Councillor Eglai. Councillor King.
Yes. No.
Councillor Kitts.
Yes.
Councillor Curry.
Yes.
Councillor Anshel Thierry.
Yes.
Councillor Brockington.
Yes.
Councillor McKenney.
Yes.
Councillor Shirelli.
Yes.
Councillor Harder.
Yes.
Councillor Deans.
No.
Councillor DeRuse.
Yes.
Councillor Dudas.
Yes.
Councillor Gower.
Yes.
Councillor Leeper.
Yes.
Councillor Cluche.
Yes.
Councillor Menard.
Yes.
Councillor Tierney.
Yes.
Mayor Watson.
Yes.
20 yeas, 3 nays.
Okay, thank you. A motion to adopt reports. Motion portant adoption de rapport. Councillor Curry, please, seconded by Councillor Dudas.
The report from the Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation report entitled on Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation 2021 Annual Report, Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee Report 34, Built Heritage Subcommittee Report 30, Planning Committee Report 68, and the report from the City Clerk entitled Summary of Oral and Written Public Submissions for Items Subject to the Planning Act, Explanation Requirements at the City Council meeting of September 21st, 2022 be received and adopted as amended.
On the motion, carried. Adopté.
Carried.
Motions of which notice have been previously given. Motion dont avis a été donné entièrement. Councillor Kitts, please, has a motion, seconded by Councillor Gower. Councillor Kitts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I read this out at the last meeting, so I'll just read the therefore be it resolved. The bylaw number 2017-275 entitled A Bylaw of the City of Ottawa to amend bylaw number 2008-250 of the City of Ottawa to change the zoning of part of the lands known municipally as 4200 Innes Road be repealed. It's largely administrative. If anyone has any questions, it can be directed to staff.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Kitts. Carried. Next motion is by Councillor Luloff, seconded by Councillor Tierney, please. Councillor Luloff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I did raise this at the last meeting. This is a speed reduction on Spring Ridge Drive. Over the course of the last 3 years, frankly, we've done our best with temporary traffic calming measures, with speed boards, and so this is just the last tool that we have left without doing an area traffic management study. So I would ask everyone to please support this. We're reducing the speed to 40 kilometers an hour on a street that has many children living on it, a lot of tributaries with lots of families, and it's often frequented as a walking path as well. Thank you very much.
Adopté, carried. Thank you. Next motion is by Councillor Brockington, seconded by Councillor Kavanaugh, please. Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. I am speaking this morning with respect to my motion moved last council meeting. Thank you, Councillor Kavanaugh, for seconding with respect for the need for a coyote management strategy. Just to provide a little bit of background on this matter, as many colleagues know, River Ward is, although it's an urban ward, it certainly has its fair share of natural beauty, which is a key point of our ward. We have the Rideau River Corridor Forest Experimental Farm, Hydro Corridor, all are areas where coyotes have been seen. Certainly my entire tenure on council, we have had a number of sightings of coyotes in River Ward, and I know this is an issue across other wards as well. What has happened this year in particular is the number of coyote-human interactions has really gone up compared to other years. And a number of family pets have succumbed to attacks from coyotes, which is happening not just at night, but in daylight. And like I said, the close proximity of coyotes to humans has raised concern. So in the past, we've had times where sightings have gone up, and then there's a period where there seems to be some calm and some balance in the community. But in 2022 in particular, like I said, the number of human coyote interactions really can't be explained. I want to thank the city who has looked into a wildlife specialist who has come into the ward to try and understand, have there been changes within the local habitat that have caused coyotes to become more engaged and more involved, and to really try and explain what's going on here. Now, the key part of this motion is asking for a wildlife or a coyote management strategy. One does not exist now within the city of Ottawa, and we have struggled to formulate a plan when these interactions happen because there's no battle plan. There is no strategy. And so looking to best practices of other municipalities within Ontario that do have a strategy, consulting with expert organizations like Coyote Watch Canada, other levels of government who own large parcels of land in Ottawa, is what this motion is getting at. So I think this needs to be passed, needs to come back through the appropriate committee next year and have a plan in place, because coyotes are not going anywhere. They are part of our ecosystem here in Ottawa, and it impacts many wards, and we as a city need to have a plan in place. So colleagues, I'm asking that you endorse this strategy this morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Brockington. Anyone else wish to comment?
Question to staff, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Shandiri.
Is staff aware of this report? Because I believe we did have staff in the past brought series of good speaker about strategy with the coyote. I know the educational piece has been there, and I think what's missing is people need to learn to live with those wildlife. But I'm not sure if any of the staff would be able to comment on this. What effort today is being done on this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can comment on behalf of staff. We do have an informal strategy in place where we do education first, and then depending on the wildlife activity, we may have to hire a specialist. This would formalize that process, and we have been working with Councillor Brockington to ensure that we have a formalized strategy in place, and we have been consulted to move forward on that, and we agree with the approach.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kavanaugh, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate my colleague asking me to second this, because it's been an issue in Bay Ward as well, in terms of mostly fear at this point, but coyotes have been spotted regularly, and we need balance. They are wildlife, and we're kind of in their territory as well, as much as they are in ours. I do believe that the city can work this through, and education, of course, is a big piece of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harder, please.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. My question is, why now? And the reason that I'm asking that is we've had problems in Riverside South, Stittsville, Canada, Barrhaven, absolutely, for well over a decade. And I'll give you an example from probably 12 years ago, at least, in Cedar Hill. Kids getting off the school bus at the end of their long driveway, and between them and the front door was a family of coyotes. And at no time did we ever, were we ever told that there was a way that the city could have a significant or make a significant difference in the sightings and the approaches of coyotes and other wild animals that we've had as well. I'm just wondering what's changed now provincially that allows the city to think that we're going to have any more jurisdiction than we did way back when. Has there been a change?
Mr. Mayor, I can speak to that. There hasn't been a change with regards to jurisdiction, but what we have seen throughout the province is an increase in activity with regards to city's involvement in trying to resolve these issues. And we're looking at our friends in Oakville and other parts of the province where they've created this coyote strategy. Our ecosystem is very complicated, and obviously we try to educate first. Not feeding the coyotes is a key strategy. Not leaving food out there is a key strategy. We've tried that for many years. The coyotes seem to be a little more aggressive, and the activities that we're taking to try and identify that is certainly helping us try to understand it. There may be some communication with wolves. There may be other activities that we're learning from our specialists right now with regards to why this is happening, and we can report more on that. But it seems to be a little more dangerous than we've seen in the past. And the coyotes are more brazen and are coming into people's yards and are no longer afraid of humans. Historically, that's usually one coyote or a team of coyotes where they would be eliminated. At which time other coyotes just come in and take over their spot, their territory. So this is what we're seeing. We're trying to develop a more comprehensive strategy where we can deal with the issues a lot quicker than we have in the past. Thank you.
Mayor, may I ask who's speaking? I can't see
Sorry,
the
Kim,
staff person.
It's Kim Ayotte.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Est-ce qu'il y a des autres questions on the motion?
Any other question?
Next motion is by Councillor Menard, seconded by Councillor Moffat, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And I read this out at the last meeting. I'll just read the therefore be it resolved portion. It's to direct staff to submit an application for membership to the National Zero Waste Council, identifying the Director of Solid Waste Services or their designate as the lead staff member, supporting, working with, and participating in the National Zero Waste Council. And two, to approve that staff draft a statement of intent based on the council approved vision, guiding principles, and goals of the waste plan, and submit it to the National Zero Waste Council on behalf of Ottawa City Council, outlining the City of Ottawa's commitment to waste prevention and reduction, including any relevant plans, programs, and policies. And thanks to staff for drafting this motion, and looking forward to their work on this council.
On the motion, carried. Adopté. Motions requiring suspension of the rules of procedure. We have a number of them. First is Councillor Kitts and Kavanaugh, and then El Shantiri and Curry on both the same issue with respect to harassment and the Integrity Commissioner. So on suspension for Kitts, Kavanaugh, and El Shantiri Curry, carried. Councillor Kitts, if you'd like to introduce your motion. And I mentioned we have MPP Blais here, who's been, very instrumental in the issue that you're going to raise, and we thank him for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll read it out. Whereas on August 10th, 2022, Ottawa MPP Stephen Blais reintroduced Bill 5, Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act 2022, to amend the Municipal Act 2001 and the City of Toronto Act 2006 to help stop harassment and abuse by local leaders. And whereas Bill 5 passed first reading on August 10th, 2022, and whereas Ottawa City Council has enshrined principles of safety in many of its guiding documents, including its Women and Gender Equity Strategy, its Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan, its Anti-Racism Strategy, and its Truth and Reconciliation Action Plan. And whereas on December 7th, 2020, with Council's full support, Mayor Watson wrote a letter to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing seeking revisions to the Municipal Act 2001 that would provide for the vacating of the seat of a member of council who has been found on clear and convincing evidence to have committed serious misconduct, including any definitions necessary for the implementation of such a provision. And whereas the City of Ottawa's workplace violence and harassment policy states that the City of Ottawa is committed to ensuring a safe, healthy, and respectful work environment free from all forms of violence and harassment. And whereas on November 25th, 2022, in response to 2 reports from the City of Ottawa Integrity Commissioner identifying issues of harassment at Ottawa City Hall, Ottawa City Council passed Motion 44-4, seeking revisions to the Municipal Act 2001 that would provide for the vacating of the seat of a member of council who has been found on clear and convincing evidence to have committed serious misconduct, including any definitions necessary for the implementation of such a provision. Whereas Bill 5 requires amendments to the Code of Conduct for municipal councillors and members of local boards to include a requirement for those councillors and members to comply with workplace violence and harassment policies. And whereas the amendments to the Municipal Act would also permit municipalities and local boards to direct the Integrity Commissioner to apply to the court to vacate a member's seat if the Commissioner's inquiry determines that the member has contravened the Code of Conduct by failing to comply with the workplace violence or harassment policies. And whereas Bill 5, if passed, would mandate that everyone at the City of Ottawa works in a safe environment. Therefore, be it resolved that Ottawa City Council requests that the Mayor write to the Premier of Ontario in support of Bill 5, Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act 2022, and ask that the Government of Ontario fast-track the approval of this legislation as soon as it is operationally practicable, and that a letter of support be sent to local MPPs, MPP Stephen Blais, the Premier and Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. So this is a very important piece of legislation, and I'm happy to be moving this motion with the support of our Council Liaison for Women and Gender Equity, Councillor Kavanagh, Councillor Dudas, who was involved in bringing this forward as well. And unfortunately, my predecessor's bill hits very close to home for this council. Everyone deserves a safe workplace free from all forms of harassment, and we must recognize that in a leadership role like the ones we are fortunate to hold, there's a power imbalance that must not be abused. And I think the least we can do for the brave women that came forward in our city is to support MPP Blais' efforts wholeheartedly. Thank you for championing this, Steve. I know that you care deeply about seeing it through, and I hope that the province will recognize that this is not a partisan issue. This is necessary legislation to ensure that future municipalities are equipped to deal with these egregious acts of misconduct, and hopefully a similar situation won't happen again in this province. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you, Councillor Kitts. Would anyone else like to speak on this item? So on the motion, carried. Next is Councillor El-Shantiri and Councillor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I thought this will be a fitting added item to what my colleague just introduced a while ago, and we unanimously supported. So moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Curry. Whereas in accordance with Section 223.1 of Municipal Act 2001, the City of Ottawa has established an Integrity Commissioner who has statutory oversight over the Code of Conduct for Member of Council. And whereas the Integrity Commissioner is currently reviewing the Code of Conduct for Member of Council as a part of her forthcoming annual report, which will attended to the 2022-2026 Governance Review Report. And whereas Member of Council have authority to hire, manage, and terminate their staff with relative impunity, which can create a power dynamic that is not in the best interest of healthy workplace. And whereas this power dynamic may go beyond the internal affairs of members' office, as elected official may also form a close personal relationships with other assistant or employee. And whereas the City of Ottawa employees are required to identify any personal relationships with their colleague to their direct managers, therefore be it resolved that Council requests the Integrity Commissioner review and consider updates to the Code of Conduct for members of Council to address the issue of personal relationships between members of Council and staff, including consideration of requirement for a member to disclose to the Integrity Commissioner when in a personal relationship with a member's staff and implementing any other best practice as might appropriate in a workplace environment. And Mr. Mayor, we heard from our colleague, and I believe since the Integrity Commissioner are reviewing, I think this motion will it will be timely to be included in future governance reform. So thank you, and thank you to my colleague who seconded this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Leeper, please.
Thanks, Mayor. May I just clarify, is this being walked on for voting today, or is this notice?
No, it's voted on today.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable voting in favor of this today. I don't necessarily oppose it, but I would love to hear from people more expert than myself in workplace protection before voting in favor of this. I'd like to get some good advice from people who I trust. Could I prevail on the councillor to make this notice instead?
It's your call, councillor.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I thought earlier with the introduction of Councillor Kitts and Kavanaugh's motion, this motion will be timely to go along with the motion from Councillor Kitts and Kavanaugh. So, and we did earlier waive the rules to vote on this motion today. I would like to see ourselves voting on it. If the council require more detail, whether from the Integrity Commissioner or from the City Clerk, obviously he can seek more information. But I would like to for us to vote on this motion today, as the next council will be our final council, and I'm not sure if the mood will be for something like this. I think today is timely. Thank you.
Okay, there's nothing about the motion that we've just passed from Councillors Kitts and Kavanaugh that either precludes voting on this today or makes it obvious that it's a timely one on which we need to deal. I don't think they're that closely linked. I'm just wondering if I could ask the clerk, are there municipal or workplace best practices that you're aware of that would be an analog to this, that would suggest that this is something that councils or private sector or other public sector workplaces are doing?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of any municipality that has anything as strong with regards to accountability measures for members of council and members of staff along this line. I can also share with members that I recommended to the member that he move the motion and get it waived on today in light of the fact the Integrity Commissioner is currently reviewing the Code of Conduct, and I thought it would be better to have it up front now than wait another few weeks and have her try to squeeze something in towards the end of the term.
Okay. I'm going to move with Councillor McKenney seconding to defer consideration of this until the next meeting, please, Mayor.
Okay, so the debate switches to on deferral. Councillor Fleury, you're on deferral or on the main? It's only deferral right now.
Yeah, on deferral, I do have a question to our city manager. What rules, this will decide if I'm comfortable with deferral or not. What rules do we have for city staff, specifically in management? Could a manager at the City of Ottawa be in a relationship with another employee under them or in the same department?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll ask Mr. White so that I can give a general answer, but to give a more specific answer on our code of conduct, which deals with this.
Mr. Mayor, what the code of conduct generally contemplates in any situation where someone may be having conflicting interest requires disclosure of that, normally to their supervisor, and then steps taken, depending on the nature of the reporting relationship, for example. So if there's sufficient distance, so to the point of could someone be in the same department, in the absence of any kind of reporting relationship where either a family member or someone else might be able to exert influence over someone's career progression or something like that, those kinds of situations are permissible. Where, however, there is a more direct relationship in terms of a supervisory component, that requires disclosure and then steps taken to ensure whether that be reassignment or something like that, that there is no conflict between the both individuals' responsibilities and their duties to the organization and any potential conflict arising out of their relationship.
Is the integrity commissioner on the call? Do we have the integrity commissioner on the call?
We're on deferral now.
On deferral. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so motion to defer is moved by Councillor Leeper, seconded by Councillor McKenney. If you want to defer it, vote yes. If you don't want to defer it so we can vote on it today, you vote no.
Councillor Hubley. Sorry? No. Councillor Kavanaugh.
No.
Councillor Fleury.
No.
Councillor Lula.
Yes.
Councillor Meehan.
No.
Councillor Moffat.
No.
Councillor Eglai. Councillor King.
No.
Councillor Kitts.
Yes.
Councillor Curry.
No.
Councillor El Shantiri.
No.
Councillor Brockington.
Yes.
Councillor McKenney. Yes. Councillor Shirelli. Councillor Harder.
No.
Councillor Deans. Yes. Councillor DeRuse.
No.
Councillor Dudas.
No.
Councillor Gower.
No.
Councillor Leeper.
Yes.
Councillor Cluche.
No.
Councillor Menard.
Yes.
Councillor Tierney.
No.
Mayor Watson.
No.
7 yeas, 15 nays.
Okay, so the main motion, Councillor El Shantiri moves, seconded by Councillor Curry. Carried. The next motion requiring suspension of the rules is by Councillors Moffat and Cloutier on suspension. Carried.
Okay.
Councillor Moffat, please.
Hello. First of all, when I was dropping my daughter off at school, she said, tell everyone I said hi. So hi from my daughter. I didn't want to not. She said she asked to, so she was so nice about it. So my motion is just on extension of an attendant concurrence for 6085 Prince Wales Drive. We've had one of these previously, and then of course at the last meeting, Councillor Kitts had one. So I won't get too into it. It's an application that the timeline had just lapsed. It hasn't been changed at all. So this just allows it to be extended by 24 months. So therefore be it resolved that the municipal concurrence for the proposed antenna system at 6085 Prince of Wales Drive be extended by 24 months, lapsing on 14th of November, 2023.
Okay, on the motion, carried, adopté. Next motion is also by Councillor Moffat and this time Gower on governance review timelines. So on suspension, carried. Councillor Moffat, my understanding this is a request from staff.
That's correct. It's coming through from staff on this. So you received a notice of this in the procedure memo yesterday, and I also provided an email just to explain the situation a little bit. So traditionally, we would always have the governance report come forward at the very last meeting of the term to be tabled and then lifted by the next term of council, the new council that comes in, and voted on at that time. So given that there's a number of considerations going on, obviously every member of council, except for Councillor Kitts, knows what it's like to go through, Councillor King as well, through the transition period where you have the orientation. That's because of Bill 68 a few years ago, which I'm pretty sure is a bill that was written by people who've never been involved in municipal government whatsoever, reduced the period from 5 weeks to 3 weeks for that transition. So obviously the time that it takes to bring new members up to speed has been reduced. That's a lot. That's a lot on the plate. And then knowing that we have at least 12 members of council that'll be brand new at that time. And then with the other situations arising from the province, including Bill 3, and that's still not yet defined as to the impacts that it could have on a governance report. In addition, we're expecting the decision of the LRT inquiry to come, which could also have impacts on governance mechanisms for the next term of council. So staff has sought to get a delay in this, so they have more time to work on it, and then bring it forward to the new council in relative short order, but giving them the amount of time they need to be able to sort through some of these challenges and differences that impact the tradition that we've had for the last 20 years. So the motion is, obviously it's lengthy, but you all have it. But the resolution is therefore be it resolved that City Council approve the delay of the traditional tabling of the 2022 to 2026 governance review report at the last meeting of the outgoing council until shortly after the new council has taken office on a schedule to be determined by the new mayor.
Okay. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions, des commentaires?
Any questions or comments? Adopted?
Are there any other motions requiring suspension of the rules of procedure? Okay. Notice is a motion for consideration at subsequent meeting. Avis de motion pour examen à réunion subséquente. Councillor Curry, please. Seconded by Councillor El-Shantiri. If you'd like to introduce your motion.
Thank you. Whereas Key Rock Drive is a residential collector road in the Canada Lakes Estates community with a current posted speed limit of 50 kilometers an hour. And whereas in 2009, City Council approved the City of Ottawa speed zoning policy, which defines the process for establishing speed limits along city roadways, which states the speed limit along this type of roadway should be based on the actual 85th percentile speed, i.e. the speed at or below which 85% of all vehicles travel of the free flowing traffic on the street. And whereas based on recent speed surveys undertaken by traffic services, 85th percentile operating speeds along Key Rock Drive is 50 kilometers an hour. And whereas changing the speed limit on Key Rock Drive will bring it more in line with the 40 kilometer an hour limits of adjacent streets and allow for the implementation of a larger 40 kilometer an hour gateway speed limit zone in the Canada Lakes Estates community. Whereas the traffic services operating budget funds are only available to implement one gateway zone per year in each ward, with any additional implementations eligible for funding through the ward-specific funding in the temporary traffic calming program. And whereas the implementation of the associated gateway zone signage and pavement markings would be in 2023 and would be subject to the availability of these funding sources in consultation with the Ward 4 Councillor for the 2022-2026 term. Therefore, be it resolved that Council approve in principle the implementation of a 40 kilometer an hour speed limit on Key Rock Drive, subject to available funding as described in this motion.
Okay, thank you. We'll deal with that at the next meeting. Next is Councillor Fleury and Councillor King have a motion for next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas Bill 109 introduced changes to the site plan bylaw to exempt residential developments with 6 or less dwelling units, and whereas through the discussion at the June 23rd, 2022 Planning Committee, the Ward Councillor noted the unique challenges associated with development in Sandy Hill, especially with the removal of councillor concurrence. And whereas the effect of the changes to the site plan bylaw maintains the existing requirements for site plan in Sandy Hill for a residential use building with 1 to 3 units, but the recent site plan exemption approved by Council on July 6th exempts 4 to 6 units in the inner urban area, which includes Sandy Hill. Whereas the process for Bill 109 continues to evolve with more potential changes coming in new procedures as new procedures are implemented. Therefore, be resolved for Sandy Hill, the modified site plan provisions will continue to apply to new applications for residential developments 4 to 6 dwelling units. Be it further resolved that this be effective as of November 9th, 2022.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other notices of motion for consideration at subsequent meeting? Motion to introduce bylaws. Motion portant présentation de règlement. Councillor Curry, please. Second by Councillor Dudas.
Que les règlements énumérés à l'ordre du jour.
That the following bylaw listed, 3 readings be read and passed.
Règlement de ratification confirmation bylaw, Councillor Curry.
That the following bylaw be read and passed to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting of October 5th, 2022.
Carried. Adopté. Do we have any written inquiries? One moment. Adjournment, Councillor Curry, please.
That the proceedings of the City Council meeting of October 5th, 2022 be adjourned.
Carried. Adopté. The media availability will take place at 11:25. La conférence de presse commencera à 11.
We will have a media availability at 11:25.